Marvel Entertainment has seen better days. These are no fun for Kevin Feige and the gang, as they are struggling to find any success out there. The Marvels is on track right now to be the worst performing Marvel Entertainment movie of all time, and it's not even close. It is really, really dropping. Now, with rumors swirling that they may have to drop Jonathan Majors as Kang, and with a devastating Variety article out, we are finding out that Marvel may be so desperate, with such a Hail Mary, that they're calling on Robert Downey Jr. to save them. Save us, RDJ, you're our only hope! But will he take the job? Should he? We'll discuss it all right now. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. We are here where Holly Weird wises up every single day, and we're happy to have you with us to do so. Joining us today via, what's this? Via a phone line, a secret phone line in the back closet. It's Mexican Ironman. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me, and excited to talk about this favorite character of mine.
That's right. So for those of you out there wondering, yes, indeed, Kathleen Kennedy's goons have gotten to poor Mexican Iron Man, and but he is happy to be calling in, and we're happy to have him. All right, here we go with the article, folks. This is something else. This out of GQ. It's by Grant Rinder. Says, with its Kang phase in peril, Marvel reportedly considers an outside-the-box idea, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Here's what it has to say. The days of total Marvel hegemony are long gone, while the MCU's footprint in pop culture remains enormous. Kevin Feige and company appear to be at a crossroads about the future of their still expansive superhero slate. As we get into this article, folks, let me remind you that the access and mainstream media is having to do a tough job here. They need to juggle the fact that they were all on board with what Marvel did with the Phase 4 MCU, the Phase 5 dive, and what looks to be a very sick Phase 6. So they've been all on board with that. How do they juggle the fact that they liked what happened, they just don't like the results, and that we called the results from the beginning? Well, that's what they're playing here. A new reported feature by Variety's Tatiana Siegel unpacks the behind-the-scenes turmoil at the until recently Teflon studio. According to Siegel, when Feige and Marvel's Creative Brain Trust gathered for a creative retreat in Palm Springs this past September, the most pressing issue on the table was the problem of Jonathan Majors, who was tapped to play the franchise's new central villain across multiple films before he was accused of bad things. But the idea that Marvel might be on the hunt for a new actor to play Kang the Conqueror, or a retooled story that doesn't involve him, isn't the most eye-browsing nugget in Variety's piece. I want to stop there, but though, before we get into the Robert Downey Jr. thing, Mike, Lauren Connor and I had surmised that perhaps they had set up Loki Season 2 with the option that they could use Short Round, Ke Kwan, playing the role of OB, that he could take the place of Kang, because Kang is sort of a shape-shifting trickster, and so OB could do it, and you know, the gravitas that he brings to that role, it would work. And so Lauren was saying, you know, maybe this was their plan B. They put this in there on purpose. It turns out they have no plan whatsoever. Are you shocked at all that the people who were successful for a decade don't even know how to have a plan B in place in case something happens to an actor?
Absolutely not. I guess I'm going to say two things. One is that when you've been very successful in business, Hollywood specifically, it can breed arrogance and hubris. And that hubris doesn't usually allow you to consider plan B, C's, and D's, because you just assume that everything you're going to do is going to work every time. Why? Because what came before you worked. And the other thing about arrogance is it breeds delusion. So that, you know, whoever's on top of any org chart tends to think that they're successful, yet in reality, there might have been other players that were involved at the ground level that either in an executive role or a, you know, creative below the line, above the line, you know, let's say below the line role might have helped Marvel be successful. And that certainly was the case, especially with Marvel, where you had anyone from, you could argue Perlmutter, you could argue Jon Favreau. I can keep going for another hour with you. I won't. But there's key players that are no longer involved that were instrumental in the phases 1 and 2 of this operation that enabled it to ascend the heights that it did.
I'm going to join you in that, Mike. I think that Jon Favreau is largely the culprit behind the success of Phase 1. And I think that Ike Perlmutter is largely, apparently, the guy who was keeping things in check for Phases 1 through 3. Now, that's not to say that either individual is perfect, but it's to say that they were a huge and significant player in what happened with Marvel during its heyday run. Since then, since their elimination, it feels very much like Kevin Feige doesn't have them in his corner. He doesn't have the golden goose any longer. And with James Gunn leaving, that's even stronger. And that may be why he's searching desperately for a golden goose. And that golden goose that he would like to grab, of course, is RDJ. Here's what it has to say. It says, according to Siegel's sources, there have been talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. They're getting the band back together. It's like the Blues Brothers, meaning Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. and Black Widow, which is ScarJo, could return to the fold despite dying valiantly in 2019's Endgame. Downey has played things close to the vest when asked about a possible Marvel return, while Johnson told Gwyneth Paltrow in reference to the Black Widow character, "The chapter is over. I did all that I had to do." She will still be producing a Marvel movie, though details about her skin. Did they switch the name Johansson to Johnson? Come on, GQ, get with it. Get with it, GQ. So, Mike, what do you think on this Robert Downey Jr. possibly coming back? I want to throw this at you from a different angle. Robert Downey Jr. would, of course, be deciding on his own whether or not he wants to come back. If he comes back, he's coming to a damaged Marvel Entertainment that we have said for so long is damaged, but that the access and mainstream media have declared, no, it's doing great, it's perfect. They're just a small, tiny fraction of the population screaming out that they don't like it. They're a bunch of haters and bad people. Well, it turns out that, no, we were right. So RDJ would be coming back to a damaged Marvel. He could, if he does that, he could be the guy who bails out his friends. I'm sure he has many friends over at Marvel Entertainment. He could bail them out. He could be seen as the guy who saved it. But there's a flip side to that, too. If he comes back, he also could damage what was a near-perfect ending for him in the Endgame movie. And he also could come out, and it might be like Michael Jordan for the Wizards. Nobody wants to be Michael Jordan for the Wizards. Michael Jordan was probably top 3 player in the league when he came back for the Wizards. And that's with bum knees. But nobody wants to be MJ on the Wizards because he was not the same MJ. And so does Robert Downey Jr. really want to come back and do that? What do you think? What would you advise him to do?
Well, I think I would advise him exactly what you just said, frankly. Those are all the considerations he needs to put in mind before he makes this decision. I'm going to go from the outside in first. From the outside, I think it's hilarious that Marvel decided that its future phases at one point were going to be all diversity and strong and female and yada, yada, yada. And if they have to go back to the white guy that originally he had a hard time getting this role, we need to remember that. He had a hard time getting this role, and then arguably is the favorite Avenger. I don't even think there's an argument to be had. I mean, there's more Iron Man fans, and certainly there are like Thor fans and so forth, at least in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If I were him, I'd stay away and stay out, because I don't know if I entrust this company to tell the story. Let's go back to what you said, Pro. I think you're right. I didn't like the fact that that he died at the end, because as a father of a 10-year-old, I just found it a little bit too close to home. Like if that happened, only kid and your dad dies, and so it's a little too close. I didn't like that, but if they were going to do it like that, I think it was a gallant and great ending for a hero arc. They need to leave it there, not versus another snap of the fingers and he comes back. And even if he does come back, what kind of story are we going to get? Every time they bring someone back for Member Berry's story to rejuvenate, it fails. I mean, Marvel within the Disney corporate hallway merely has to look across the hallway at the vaulted Lucasfilm and see what happens when we brought back Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. That didn't reinvigorate the franchise. That didn't fix anything. That wasn't a compelling story. No one's talking about it. It's not just who you bring back. It's what you have them do, and more importantly, the quality of the story that you're going to tell. And frankly, I can't see a single compelling story to come out of anything from the recent movies that they would grab onto. I think they should just recast everybody. Frankly, I don't even think they should recast the Avengers and move forward. What I think they ought to do is stop playing not to lose and start playing to win. And by playing to win, I mean go after the X-Men, go do Fantastic Four, and do all of it the right way. But I don't think that's going to happen. And so I think this is a dying. I think Marvel Studios is headed by the way of the dodo bird, a lot like Lucasfilm now is a dodo bird.
You know, you would want to bring back, in an ideal situation, you would want to bring back Robert Downey Jr. from a position of strength. You'd want to have a story that's been set up such that it makes sense and that it pays off the fact that you're going to reduce the sacrifice that he made in that Endgame film.
Right.
Right now they're scrambling, and you don't want to scramble. You don't want to just knee-jerk reaction to member berry, but that's where they are right now. You're exactly right. Now, if the real Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., is listening in, that's the advice you've been given from the real Mexican Iron Man, and trust me, he's a cousin you want to listen to. But here's something that we've been saying for quite a while, and we hope people were listening to this. This is on thatparkplace.com, website that you should have bookmarked on your browser, and it is by me, WDW Pro. Rumor Bob Chapek wants Iron Man and Luke Skywalker now. This was all the way back from 2021. I want to show this to folks because, of course, Bob Chapek was ousted from Disney. He was a very short-term CEO, kicked out by the same Iger who let him in. Iger wanted back in the role. But I want people to see that Bob Chapek seems to have been on the money with this, if this rumor is to be believed, and now Disney is following in what Chapek wanted. They just didn't want Chapek. Here's what it says. Chapek is rumored to want both Marvel and Lucasfilm to return to winning formulas with proven rock star characters. And he's not interested in artistic reasons for withholding those characters. Notice, folks, we were ahead of the curve on this. This is exactly why they hated Chapek, because he didn't care about their artistic reasons. Neither did audiences. He's ready to spend the money to make it happen. He allegedly wants Iron Man and Tony Stark back with Marvel. He wants Robert Downey Jr. if need be. Chapek allegedly wants much more of Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford's version of Han Solo, and the droids that Star Wars fans love. He is reportedly not interested in further alienation of fans and potential customers. Mike, I want to go back now to the GQ article, and I want to finish this to show you the gulf in cognitive dissonance here. Take a look at this. At the end of the GQ article, it says, apart from the actual quality, in other words, they're saying that the Disney stuff has been very, very good. The torrent of Disney Plus TV shows led to a high level of viewer fatigue. You hear that, folks? You remember when all of your favorite shows were so popular and you watched them over and over and over? Yeah, that's what happens when they're popular. You want more of them. But the excuse that you get when a bad show doesn't get viewership and when the access and mainstream media didn't see that coming is viewer fatigue. They're so tired of Stranger Things. They're so tired of Wednesday. They're so tired of Squid Games. No, they're not. They never are. They're never tired of One Piece. 8 new Marvel shows launched between 2021 and August 2022 as part of the MCU's Phase 4. And note here also, folks, that when it says shows, it's really talking about mini-series. This is what these are. They're mini-series. They're like little movies. So anyway, the Phase 4, most recent programs like She-Hulk and Secret Invasion received mixed reviews. Variety's story includes a quote from Bob Iger saying that the gold rush of Marvel series diluted focus and attention from the universe at large, which is what you would say if you're failing. The uncertainty at Marvel also comes while rival DC is ramping up its approach to film and television under Guardians of the Galaxy mastermind James Gunn and Peter Safran. But here is the key thing to end on, because this tells us what the mainstream and access media are going to say. Listen to this, folks. You're not going to believe how wrong they are still. The next Marvel project to hit theaters is The Marvels, which features a terrific director in Nia DaCosta. This is the same lady who said she had no idea what was going on in this movie. Sounds great. And an appealing cast headed by Brie Larson, Tiana Paris, and Iman Vellani. An appealing cast. Perhaps she thinks that Rachel Zegler and the Snow White cast are just stunning. Though Variety noted that the film earned middling reviews at a June public screening. So, Mike, they always frame it in the best possible way for their narrative, and then at the very end, buried at the bottom of the paragraph or buried at the bottom of the story, they say, oh, and it's not going to do well. Don't you love it, Mike?
Yeah, that's some Hollywood copium. That is the ending of that article is what enables the writer of this article to be able to go to receptions and see other people without getting harassed and harangued, because
that's right.
Say, I said good thing. I really like what you said about Brie, that was great. That was awesome.
It's the audience fault. It's those flyover states. They just don't come to the movies anymore.
Because I endorsed it, Pro. I endorsed it. I mean, it has a very appealing cast. It does. It really does. I mean, the level of, I think the way you started this video talk off today was nail on the head, and you're ending nail on the head. Is that hammer you're dropping is really about the fact that, well, you're right. You were ahead of the curve on this issue. Absolutely. And Hollywood is catching up.
Chapek was, Mike. Everything Disney tries to fix, they just follow in the footsteps of the guy they ousted.
I understand Chapek because I'm an accountant too. He was an accountant. I'm an accountant. It's tough life. No one listens to the accountants. It's hard. It's tough out there in the world. But what Hollywood's got to learn is that they've got to stop being so whimsical and start getting. They've got to stop making movies for themselves and their egos and their little cocktail. They've got to start making movies for us, the fans, because it is the fans that propel cinema. You know, Spider-Man had a fantastic run in terms of its box office. I know that I personally paid to see it 3 different ways, 3 different times in 3 different cities. That's how much I like it. I saw it in IMAX, I saw it in 4DX, and I saw it in the what's the other one? The one where the booths where you're in the in 3D. I'm sorry, I saw it in 3D, 4DX, and in IMAX 3 times over the course of 2 months because it was a movie that I felt that was made for fans. And if Marvel can go back to making movies for fans again, then we'll come back. But if it doesn't, I want to remember my Tony Stark the way he was. I want to remember Robert Downey Jr. the way he was and the arc he had and the heroism that he showed. And I'm scared to death if they bring him back like Lucasfilm brought back Darth Vader or Obi-Wan, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. Incredibly disappointed.
You know, you say that they need to make entertainment for the fans. It kind of reminds me of the idea that when you go to a football game, you want to watch football. You're not there to watch ballet. Marvel, quit doing ballet. Get with it. You're supposed to be making superhero films that are intensely interesting, and you have failed so far to do so. So I think it's interesting, again, that the Disney company is following in what Chapek wanted allegedly to do. And we're going to be breaking, actually, Mike, an exclusive on the Pro Show today. Folks, if you're watching this at the time of release, it'll be later today. If you're watching this video else time, don't worry. You can still watch the Pro Show. Just go find it. But we're going to be breaking an exclusive about the Marvels and just how despair, the level of despair that Disney is feeling about it. Apparently, they pulled the merch for the Marvels. You may recall that with Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, you know, they forced some of these big box retailers to put up end caps, and those toys didn't do anything. Now it looks like there was pushback. Disney bailed. There's no Captain Marvel stuff. There's no Marvels stuff. And we'll be talking about that and even another movie that Disney has bailed on that is quite surprising. So looking forward to bringing all that to you. Mike, what do you got going on around the old YouTube, even though you're not a YouTuber?
I am encouraging everyone to check out Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. And thanks for having me. It's always an honor and pleasure to be with you, talking about all these topics. And great job on the channel, both channels, and very proud of your work. So as a fan, I want to thank you and encourage everybody else to sub to all the channels and check out the website. The updates are amazing. Your team of writers is fantastic, I want to tell you. Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. We plan to have big announcements on the way soon, folks. We'll have more information coming up. You are definitely going to want to bookmark thatparkplace.com. We believe it's about to become the leading website for pop culture, entertainment, and news. And Mike, thank you so much for the kind words. Folks, don't forget that Mexican Ironman, wherever you see him, he is sort of the secret sauce, hiding behind the scenes, making all of these channels work at such a high level. He does not take any of the credit, yet we have to say Mike is such a magnanimous person, and we hope that his goodwill and benevolence will rub off on RDJ. Robert, listen to him. Listen to him. He's trying to tell you. I don't know. Maybe Marvel will get their act together. Maybe it will work out. We'll find out. We'll pay attention, and we will continue, folks, to bring you the news as it happens, analyze it in a way that you won't find almost anywhere else. Folks, if you like content like that, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you do stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. This is not just two people with a conversation. No, it is a community dialogue of which you are a part. So drop a comment down below and let us know your thoughts on whether or not RDJ should come back, and is Marvel salvageable at this point? Or are they pawn shop material? Are they pawn shop stuff? We'd love to know. Pro Show is 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursdays. Check us out. Exclusive scoops on the way. And folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. And I am Iron Man.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on that Park Place.
So not like most news outlets, huh?
No.